in that the Supreme Court has refused to stay counselling of NEET. The Supreme Court seeking the NTA and the Centre's response on various petitions filed by the students. Remember, the Supreme Court is hearing a fresh bunch of petitions on the alleged paper leaks and malpractices linked to the NEET UG 2024 row. Ananya joins us with the very latest. Ananya, over to you. Just tell us more. What exactly has the Supreme Court asked the NTA and the Centre for?
Well, definitely, there are various petitions that were filed today before, in fact, the topmost court of the country. Some were by the students. One was by the SFI, that is the Student Federation of India, which is a unit of the Communist Party of India. And, various petitions were also filed by the National Testing Agency or the NTA for seeking a transfer of all of these cases pending before the various high courts to, in fact, the Supreme Court. In issuing notice to those petitions, the Supreme Court has halted proceedings at the Calcutta High Court, the Bombay High Court and the Rajasthan High Court with regards to the issue of paper leakages, and that would be heard by the Supreme Court. That could be heard by the Supreme Court if a transfer is allowed. All the matters have now been placed for the 8th of July before the Supreme Court. But a very important development that has happened today is that the Supreme Court has refused to grant any kind of a stay on the counselling that is to happen on the 4th of July. But what is very, very clear is that the Supreme Court has clarified in its order that during the final hearing on the 8th of July, if at all, the whole exam goes, the counselling would also go, and hence a re-NEET could actually take place.
So I wanted to understand that. Does that mean if the Supreme Court has instructed that the counselling will not be stopped, is that an indication that perhaps the NEET UG examination will not take place, or is that dependent on the hearing that will happen on the 8th of July?
Well, all of it depends on the hearing that happens on the 8th of July. At this particular point of time, there would the counselling would continue, and that that examination, that re-examination that is to take place on the 23rd of June will also take place. So we'll have to wait and watch for what happens on the 8th of July. But at this point of time, the 24 lakh students who had appeared for this examination are under limbo. Their future seems to be, hanging on a sword. So, the Supreme Court is also trying to deal all these matters systematically. If you remember, on the first occasion, it dealt with, in fact, the grace marks issue, ordered for a retest as suggested by the National Testing Agency. The result of that, retest would come by the 30th of June, and the counselling would begin on the 4th of July, and on the 8th of July, the Supreme Court will be holding the final hearing. And if at all, the Supreme Court feels that there is a major irregularity and there should be a re-NEET that should be conducted, then the counselling process that happened on the 4th of July would also go. So we'll have to wait and watch as to what happens on the 8th of July. All eyes on the topmost court of the country. All students are seeking a respite, a breather from the apex court.
Right, Ananya. Thanks so much for getting us that update. So the counselling process will not end, will not be stopped, irrespective of the Supreme Court hearing the matter. In fact, the Supreme Court is hearing all these pleas. It's being heard by the vacation bench of Justice Vikram Nath and Justice S.V.N. Bhatti. But Sharon, going further now, all eyes will be on that important meeting that is going to happen at 10 Janpath. Rahul Gandhi, in fact, is leading from the front. Obviously, the opposition capitalizing on the sentiment, reaching out to all the students who have been affected as a result of these abrupt cancellations or the glaring lapses and irregularities that have been found in these very important exams that actually decides the future for so many students in our country.
Absolutely, Avantika. We are talking about 24 lakh students who appeared for the NEET examination and around 9 lakh students who appeared for the UGC NET examination. And this is exactly what the Education Minister also said. At the end of the day, if there are irregularities, if there is malpractices that went on in this examination, it is going to impact the students, and there should not be politics that should be played. We are seeing that the students are on street protesting against the NEET examination, protesting against the UGC NET exam, and this is something that is going to, of course, affect their future, because the amount of energy, resources that they have put in to place to appear for this exam, that is being questioned right now. And we are seeing that the opposition parties, of course, playing this against the government, criticizing them for the NTA examination. There is going to be a nationwide protest that is being planned by the Congress party. The DMK from day one has been saying that NTA is in fact fact anti-poor, is anti-social justice, and they should not be, given the responsibility to conduct examination. So with all this criticism that is coming in against the NTA, we have to see what is going to be the future status of NTA altogether. It's been only recently when it was constituted. It was in 2017 when it was constituted, though the talk of NTA, the National Testing Agency, has been going on since 2010, but it was only in 2017 when it was given the green signal. And ever since, we have been seeing that there has been technical glitches, errors. We have seen in CUET exams, when for the Delhi University exam, when it happens, we have seen how there were a lot of technical issues that has happened. Students were not aware of their centers. 24 hours before the examination, they got to know about their center. All this has happened, but this is the first time that the NTA is in dock over the paper leak allegation. So this is a massive controversy with which the NTA is being surrounded. We have to see what is going to be the next move by the Ministry of Education, as they have been saying that the strict action will be taken against anyone who is involved in any sort of irregularity or malpractices when it comes to these examinations.
All right. Sharon, I'm going to leave it at that, but thank you so much for joining us and really getting us up to speed with all that's been happening and the updates and the opposition strategy as a result of these recent cancellations. Moving on.